market rate condo housing. It's what it means to me. It means people like myself who work in the district and in a small business get to be able to have housing that they can afford, that is clean and livable, and it's a sustainable place for them to return to every day. And the reason that's important in District 6 is because in District 6 there are a lot of people who don't have that. They don't have that very basic need. And one of the things that's really important about District 6 is there's going to be a lot of redevelopment going on, and we need to make sure that there's a huge percentage of affordable housing and a way for people to access it. I also think that affordable housing should come in the form of new housing being built and offering microloans to people who are in programs and working with housing organizations so that they can invest into the community and create a house that is actually theirs. And I think these are some ways that we can create affordable housing, and this is why it's important, because we need to house the people in District 6.
Thank you. That's your question? Would you like me to repeat it, sir? Thank you. All right. Hi, my name is James Keys. Defining affordable housing, we do not have affordable housing. For many people that live in an SRO, they cannot afford the housing that we have out there. When they continue to say we're going to build affordable housing, that means that there's somebody from the Midwest or New York who can move out here who has a job. And don't get me wrong, we do want to house those people also, but we need to house people who do not have housing. Those are the people that are in the SROs. So as to the second part of that question, why do we need it? For each and every SRO resident who has been passed over by such agencies as TNDC, Mercy Housing, and Caritas, when they build affordable housing, and you are stuck in that very same SRO room that you've been living in for 15 years or more, you deserve to get some affordable housing, and you deserve to move into that housing at the same price that you're paying, and I can make that happen as your next District 6 supervisor because I've got that position paper right here.
Go ahead.
This is the plan. This is how you're going to move, okay? Thank you very much.
Go, Jay. I just want to back up.
Good afternoon. My name is Jane Kim. I'm running for supervisor here in District 6. I used to work for an affordable housing development agency. We actually manage and we build affordable housing for families, for seniors, for individuals here in the Tenderloin, here in Chinatown, and other neighborhoods here in San Francisco. Housing is a right. Housing is something that we all deserve here in San Francisco. And most of us can't afford to live in San Francisco. That's why this is one of the biggest issues that I think is facing our city and the supervisor for this district. We want to work on making sure that we're improving the quality of our SRO hotels here. Something that I'd really like to see is all-female floors, and making sure that we have spaces for people to hang out in the hotels, and also on the ground retail in the neighborhoods that surround where we have a density of the hotels. We also need to make sure that we're building affordable family housing. I support a special family and youth zone here in the south of Market, where we prioritize building 2-3 unit affordable housing for our families, where we have parks and open space and other services. Next, we want affordable housing also for the folks that serve our community. Our teachers, for example. A project that I'm working on right now as president of the Board of Education is building teacher-educator housing on 16th and Mission, on current vacant property that SFUSD owns. It's just a blight across from Walgreens. So we need to make sure that we're building a diversity. We need to see who lives here, and then we need to make sure that we're building the appropriate number of housing for all the folks that make the city run. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jim Meko. Housing, affordable housing, is not a choice. Not many of us have the luxury of being able to choose where we live, how much we pay. It's a necessity, and we have to scrimp and save and just work our butts off to be able to afford to stay in this city. The balance is in jeopardy. And this is one of the reasons I'm running for the Board of Supervisors. It's part of the Western SOMA plan. There's a very important piece of legislation that's going to be moving forward through the board next year. which we call the stabilization policy, which aims to maintain the balance between market rate and affordable housing. The traditional ratio has always been about 70% to 30%. We have a plan that is going to be judged by the board that would maintain that 70 to 30 balance, and when market rate housing begins to exceed that and begins to threaten the affordability of the district, a circuit breaker would snap in place, and no more market rate housing could be built until that balance is reachieved. And with all of the special interests who are pushing their candidates for the Board of Supervisors, I fear for this committee, or for this community, if we don't have the right person in there fighting for you to maintain that balance. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Theresa Sparks, and I'm a candidate for District 6 as well. The definition of affordable housing, I think, is not only that there's a housing for everyone who wants to live in San Francisco, but that housing is free of bed bugs, that housing is free of roaches, that housing is actually something that someone wants to come back to as being, instead of being their only alternative for where they have to go. We need to build housing affordable for all levels of the community, not only low-income housing and clean and bug-free SROs, but the SROs in these housing also need to have the elevators to work. They need disabled people to be able to get to their rooms. They need to have affordable restaurants and affordable storefronts within walking distance, and they need to have a safe environment around it. The importance of affordable housing is that everyone here needs to be able to live in San Francisco, but it's not only low income, it's as teachers, as James said, but it's also firemen, it's also police officers, who currently less than half of them live in San Francisco. Many live in Novato and north of the bridge. We need to be able to have our public service workers here, and even our construction workers, the people who build these properties. Wouldn't it be nice if we're able to have people that build the buildings actually have a place to live in them? We also need to make sure families and seniors, the Tenderloin, as many of you know, is turning more and more towards senior housing because many of this population are aging. As James said, sometimes been living there 19 years. And so we need to make sure that the senior housing is not only affordable, but it's also something that makes the lives of these people bearable, and the lives of these people to a point where they want to be able to come back and go to their apartment or their SRO. Thank you.
My name is Debra Walker. I'm a candidate for District 6 Supervisor. I want to thank the great organizations that provide a lot of advocacy on this issue and tenant issues in the city for hosting this. The people sitting here and listening are people who care deeply about this issue. Affordable housing means it's affordable to the people who live there. And we should be providing it at all levels, from those making the very least and even up to over 100% of median income. This is one of the most expensive cities in the country, if not the world. We have years experienced cutbacks from the federal level at supporting and building affordable housing, so the city and the state have tried to make up. The state has now lacked funding for over the last 3 years in helping us build our housing. So the challenge is to be able to find the funding to do it. These are all great ideas. I think all of us are committed to it. But the real solution is to be creative about finding funding. I have been forwarding ideas and been talking to community members about adaptive reuse of existing buildings. The cheapest housing is the things that are already built. We must maintain and make better, healthier SROs, for instance. We need to really look at the amount of money people are charging for SRO rooms. We really need to evaluate our policies around that. We need to looking at empty buildings that are office buildings and trying to adapt them into housing use. That's a much cheaper solution than building entirely new construction. But we have some work to do statewide and federally to restore funding assistance to the city. We can't do it alone. We also must come together to actually do an affordable housing bond. That's going to take all of us working across the progressive and the moderate community in order to do it. It's a 2/3 requirement, so we need some discussions around that. Thank you.
Yay. Thank you.